We're going to be talking about the building that currently houses Buzz Lightyear's Space Ranger spin in Orlando, Florida. We're going to talk the history of the rides that have been in that building up to and including Buzz Lightyear's Space Ranger spin.
It will be a journey of the mind, as much as a journey of the PowerPoint presentation pictures.
That's the magic bag.
That have been. There, but it's not.
Liquid courage.
Got it. Thank you, sweet spirit.
So the Magic Kingdom in Orlando, Florida.
Very quickly, I have a wonderful person who's been handling me all weekend. Her name is Amber.
That sounds
But
horrible.
mostly it's involved bringing cases of beer from the green room up to whatever panel room we're in. When she started, she was 350 pounds. She's like 130 now. She's the workout I've given her of going up the stairs.
I need that job.
There you go.
The Magic Kingdom. You ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay. The Magic Kingdom opened in October of 1971, and June of the next year, they opened the first version of this attraction. It was sponsored by Eastern Airlines. Eastern Airlines had a huge deal with Disney. They were the official airline of Walt Disney World. This ride was a free ride. Back then they had the A through E ticket. So you guys have heard about, like, oh, this ride's an E ticket. It used to be that you would buy a book of tickets, and your A tickets were your least exciting attractions, all the way to the E tickets, which were the most exciting. But this one, you never had to use a ticket for. You could just get in line and go on.
What at Disney World were the other free ones?
Oh, I don't.
I know Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln was free at Disneyland.
Yeah, I don't know what else was free. I mean, this one was free though because it was sponsored.
Yeah.
It really was an advertisement. It was a ride, but it was as much of an advertisement as you could get.
As opposed to the completely non-one-sided agreement with the Exxon and the Universe of Energy.
But they had no ticket booklets at that point.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
It cost $10 million to build. Eastern, so in addition to being the official carrier for Disney, they had a lot of promotions. So like this is, I think for Donald Duck's birthday, you could go get a picture with a cake while you were waiting to board your plane. They also, they would advertise, and they had these really cool things, like if you flew Eastern, you could get a fun flight bag. And so like your kid would have something to do during your flight, to Orlando. You'd get your hand puppet.
Have a lot of fun stuff. They could do a puppet show or look at a map. That was about all that was in there.
There was a map.
Maybe a sheet. Was there a sheet of coloring, perhaps?
Oh, there was. And your lunch? What do you think it would come in?
Of course, a fun box, of course.
Fun box,
yeah.
Right? That's right.
That was your boiled piece of chicken and some gray peas and
remember when we all
piece of
used
lettuce.
when all the comedians would joke about airline food? They were like, oh, that airline food.
Yeah.
We were all like, what garbage it is. And then they were like, well, screw you people. We won't serve any
You
food.
made fun of our food? No food for you. You can buy a box of cheese for $15. That'll be your food. We're not giving you any more food.
No more nuts.
Yeah. No more food for you guys. And then everyone stopped making fun of airplane.
The first version of the ride had no animatronics, had tons of projected images, and we'll take a look at how it worked. But it was a really neat ride. Here's a picture from the grand opening in 1972.
And they correct me if I'm wrong.
Sure.
Or don't, or pretend I'm right.
Well, I've been reading your blog, and I know you're wrong about a lot of things.
Yeah. They put this ride together very quickly.
Yes, oh, absolutely.
Like, who was it? Claude, there was one, I can't remember, it was Claude Coates or somebody was like the person who who was like a famous Imagineer guy, and they were like, we need this ride put together, and he's like, what's the budget? He's like, we got about $12. Because like after they built the ride system and all that stuff, like they really didn't, for like decor-wise, have a lot of, which is why it was a lot of projections and a lot of like speed tunnel stuff where you went through.
Yeah, but their projections, we'll get to them. The projections were really convincing. We'll get to how they staged them. But yeah, no, it cost $10 million for Eastern, but I'm assuming Disney pockets most of that.
Yeah. Well, they probably were already 8 million over on something else, so they're like, we really have to fill this gaping hole, and then we're just going to slap Eastern all over this building.
So here's this is the entrance. You'd walk through. While you were waiting in line, you could see people boarding in the background, and this is probably the neatest thing in the ride was this really cool globe you would go through. And I always liked the rides like this and World of Motion, where you would see the ride vehicles outside. It was kind of fun.
That's always my favorite part. When you're waiting in line, but as soon as you can see the ride vehicles, even if you have 4 more hours, like, oh yeah, but there it is right there. Oh, that's pretty neat. The time's just passing by, and then you like look at the one guy, like, come on, buddy, just get on that thing. You know, someone going too slow or their bag's stuck on the thing.
I like when people get mad that you're not stepping forward quick enough in line. It's like, no, I need to be pressed up against you at that spot instead of this spot.
Let me tell you a story. As you well know, I just got back from Shanghai Disneyland. That shit is real. I mean, I'm telling you, if you had half a foot in front of you, a family of 4 is going to walk into that gap. They will cut, they'll stomp on you. Everything. I mean, literally, we were in line for the Pirates of the Caribbean. I tried to warn my friends. I was like, just so you know, this is not going to be like Orlando, Florida. Like, you're going to have someone literally pressing against your back. One time I went there, like, it was no joke. I was there with my dad. I'm like, Dad. He's like, what? I was like, 6 different people are touching me right now. And there was like a guy on the other side, his elbow in my stomach. There were 2 ladies talking to each other but pressed against my back. Some kid was in between my legs. Yeah, it was like just crazy. But the thing is, like, they'll cut like nobody's business. But if you cut them, they have no problem. Like, if I walked in front of him, the guy would be like, oh man, I had a foot of space in front of me. How stupid of me. I should have moved up already. Like, it's a total 2-way street. They're not trying to be rude to you. That's just the culture that, like, if there's empty space and you're not taking it, I'm going to take it. Like, you're more than welcome to walk up, but I will be right behind you to remind you to walk up. I'll be waiting for you to slip up. And then I'll take the spot. I'll get in row 3 on Pirates of the Caribbean.
This is one of the projections. So if you look at this, you can see like the people on the boat here. Let me get my laser pointer. Hold on. Wait till you guys see this. Oh, look at this. I want some applause for the laser. Oh, they're a good audience. No, but these were screens, right? And then this was a physical set. And it was somewhat convincing. Like, you'd look, and they'd have these screens that were used within the ride. Like, this is a screen here, you know, in these windows. So these people dancing from side to side. But this was all like a big, you know, facade that, you know, it worked. You know, it looked
sort of like a precursor
at
to the Mexico Pavilion, when the guys would come by, like, selling you, hey, check out my maracas.
Yes. Or now Donald Duck's just trying to force himself on the ladies.
Yeah, please buy my plush on the way out. Yeah.
One of the gimmicks was in the window was this guy with a fish that kept getting bigger and smaller. Yeah. He like had caught this fish and it would grow and then get smaller. You got the theme?
Yeah.
Is your volume up?
Yeah, it's just won't. Oh, you do?
I think I have it. It's a great theme.
It's just like
you can widen your world if you have.
This is not the theme song, in case anyone was wondering.
Hold on, let me go.
The Ventures of Tequila Flame playing Frosty the Snowman is not the theme song from If You Had Wings.
I like that though. Another gag that I really liked was the flamingos were moving and the traffic cop was directing them.
Oh yeah, in Bermuda, of course, with the shorts.
They would cut to people, you know, crossing, and that need to be directed.
That's the thing. All these rides like this were very enjoyable, except, you know, like when they were just doing that last Hail Mary, because they had like, how much money do I have to do the ride? We got about $12. And they're like, movies. We're gonna shoot some movies and project them on a wall. Like the Mexico one, same thing. This one, they're not. This is like, here's the title of the panel. Watch 2 assholes fumble with their phones. Back for a year or 2.
Attention, please. Eastern Airlines Flight 72, your Fiesta flight to Mexico and the ancient pyramids, now departing at Gate 19. Attention please. Eastern Airlines Flight 19, your holiday...
We'll get to the theme song. Here are some animated birds. They had like a beach, and you would see like these animated birds go over top of it.
I wouldn't sit
There's
there.
wires. Step over the wires carefully.
Don't step over the wires. Go around.
Yeah, go around. There's,
I don't want you to...
Never mind.
Or step over it. That's great. Fantastic. Right there's a seat, right there.
So after you saw the animated birds, you'd go through that tunnel that is now in Buzz Lightyear, where you know the one part in the Buzz Lightyear ride where weirdly you can't shoot things anymore.
Yeah.
You just shoot your laser pointer at the ceiling. You're like, what are we doing here? What happened? You know.
For every 10 shots, you still shoot the ball.
That's true. Well, yeah, they do that every 10 shots.
Don't
You
tell
get.
me.
We'll get to that, but yeah, that ride. But on the Buzz ride, yeah, and that's because if you have little kids that can't hit anything, you know, they don't let them to have no points.
I feel like you start at 100,000 points on that thing.
No.
Here's this is the theme song.
Sombrero made of real fine straw. Or how about a nice handbag for your pretty mama?
You'd have different
Sorry,
types
guys.
of music for each area.
I almost gave your seat away. I thought you left in disgust. I'm sorry. I didn't realize you were just joining us.
Have cheap, have cheap, have cheap, have cheap. You could follow
Have
it
what?
right week
Half cheap.
down to
Half cheap? That's about as racially sensitive as the tiki room birds. You're like, all right, we insulted Latinos. How about, we've never insulted French people before. Let's have a French bird. How about a German guy, a kraut, a dirty kraut?
You could fly to Bermuda.
That's the
Oh.
chorus.
Play it. That was the Bermuda one with the guy with the shorts on.
Have a ball on a cruise ship, or catch fish if you wish. If you had wings, if you had wings.
It's also a weird sound that sounds like someone's on a respirator on that thing.
I could so go for.
They hired a famous Latin singer. He was in an iron lung at the time, but they still hired him. I would love to do it. Sounds great. When do we do? Well, if you can come down to the studio. No. The studio has to come to me. I cannot leave the house.
I could go for some wings, by the way.
Speaking of wings, there's great wings at the Southport Raw Bar. If no one's been there, the kitchen's open till 1 a.m. tonight, and the bar is open till 2 a.m. And you'll probably see our floppy asses sitting there shoving down wings and booze.
Here is If You Could Fly. So If You Had Wings closed down in June of 1987 because Eastern Airlines stopped being the official airline of Walt Disney World. So they closed it for 5 days and they reopened it as If You Could Fly. So they just put new music, got rid of all the references
Listen, those Eastern sons of bitches. Take these crowbars, I want you to remove their name anywhere it's there. Those bastards.
I love the 5-day turnaround, though.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's just, they're like, rip it off the wall. It's kind of probably like, rip it off the wall. I want it down now. There's a story, when I do this, I've done this show called The Thundermans, and they shoot it on the Paramount lot. This has nothing to do with this. Although, I took a plane once, which is about flying around the world in a few wings. Lucille Ball shot the Lucy show there, and Desi Arnaz had the dressing room next to her. And later, that same soundstage where we shot The Thundermans is where they did Cheers and Frasier.
Cheers was filmed before a live studio audience.
But Lucille Ball basically owned part of the Paramount lot because they bought the Desi lot from her to absorb that other section. So she sort of had like a lot of stuff, but she had Desi Arnaz used to cheat on her all the time. Like he was a famous. His main number one hobby was just adultery, apparently.
It's expensive.
Yes, but he had a door out to the lot, like basically onto the street in the enclosed soundstage. And Lucille Ball like caught him one time and called the works department and said, I need you to brick up his outside door because that SOB is doing it again. He's just tomcatting around the studio. Because she would be literally on stage shooting her scenes, and he'd be out babalooing in the back, bringing women in the side.
Lucy, I've got some cheating to do.
Yeah. And so she told, like, I want you to brick it up. Like, okay, well, we'll do a design. Because, like, the outside of that building looks like fake streets. So they could use it to do location stuff. She's like, they're like, okay, well, yeah, that's like by the Victorian house. So, we'll order a door. She's like, no, I want bricks on it by tomorrow morning. I'm like, all right. She's like, no, I want it now. I want it now. You're gonna brick that door up now, and that son of a bitch never bring his whores back in through here. And even still to this day, they don't tell you this on the tour. When you go by, you see all this nice looking building, and there's just one door that has like cinder blocks in front of it. It's like the ugliest looking part of the whole thing, and it's because of Desi Arnaz is a bastard. Because apparently then they never redid it, because they're like, oh, shouldn't we put a nice door here? And some guy was like, why should I spend $1,000 because Desi Arnaz can't keep his babaloo in his pants? Leave it. Anyway, I was just thinking about that when the guy was saying, take that Eastern shit off the walls now. No, it's the same thing, like, no, now I want to go off the walls. Say we could do it in a week. 5 days max.
You know what? Let me tell you.
If you had wings, Eastern airplanes have wings. We're just going to say fly.
Yeah.
It's what they can kiss. It's what's under my fly.
All right. 1989, they closed down the If You Could Fly version of this. Delta was now the new official airline of Walt Disney World. So, in 1989, in June, they opened up Delta Dream Flight. This stuck around till 1998.
This one I remember going on.
Yeah.
I only went to Disney.
Very different.
One time, I went to Disney one time, like in 1979 or something.
Yeah. Here, this is a famous
But
picture.
then I went to this one in 91.
This is Mickey Mouse right before he had an affair with the chairwoman of Delta, and Minnie Mouse said, "Boy, put that wall, close it up, now, the wall now." Mickey just keeps running around.
Yeah.
His tail goes everywhere.
We're rocking Toontown up at 11.
He's addicted to cheese.
Yeah. I thought that was the lady from the Star Tours video. Because her hair didn't have the rings in her side.
This lady?
Yeah.
I think she. No, I don't think so. I think this is. But it's definitely not her. Yeah, this woman's Caucasian. It's just looks.
She is?
Yeah. That's why I don't want to say that. She's white. Not like that lady. So this ride was more of a history of aviation. This is just a terrible picture because it was from their newsletter. So there's no access to, I don't have the original photo anymore. So this ride was like the history of aviation, and you'd see like these more, these were like 3D kind of flats and moving things. You'd get
Like sort of like, multi-layered cutouts.
Yeah, like this is a good shot that gives you kind of an example of it. And they all had this very simplified drawing style to them. And then you would go through that tunnel where they would project on the ceiling. It was really neat. Like, you were projecting like this plane flying through, and I really liked that.
The best thing I remember about that ride is you went through a Delta jet engine. They had like a certain kind of light through like a gobo, and then it was real smoky, but it looked like just the propeller spinning the way they did it, and you went just straight through, because it was just light, but you were like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, that's light. Okay, all right, I'm an asshole.
When I was a kid, I used to wait for the guy to fall off the plane when he was doing the stunts.
When you were a kid, just because they can't hear you, you would wait for the guy to fall off the plane?
When you go through the tunnel, you just had the
with the projection on.
Right, and you expected him to
When you're a
die.
kid, you don't realize.
And so when you were a kid, just so I understand, you saw it more than once, and you were like, well, maybe this time he's gonna. This time that guy's gonna eat shit.
No.
Right here
Don't do that.
in Tomorrowland.
We gotta go back on. He didn't do it yet. We gotta go back on. I'm waiting for Mike said steak.
Look, he made it last time, and they're like, no, he makes it every time. You're like, yeah, so one of these times he's gotta.
So you've
bite
seen
the
it
big
every
one.
time? Is that what you're telling me? You've seen it every time? You know he always makes it?
He would like stand on the wings of the plane. It's a nutcase.
He would hold his hands on the thing, and then
Yeah.
occasionally he would go up and down, around and around. When he'd do that, I go, fucking fall.
You were 5 years old. You're
You're a horrible person.
like, well, let me go beat up a rat and pull the legs off of a spider. before I go back on. Yes.
So, was this considered a ride or more of a show?
This was a ride.
It
You
was
get in
definitely a
vehicle.
ride.
So you would sit down and...
You'd sit down
It
and
was
an
like
Omni
real
moved
mellow.
your vehicle.
The ride vehicles were like exactly like the Haunted Mansion ones.
Exactly.
But they didn't have the
Blue.
curve over the back. They were like just like this high. You know, than the back. It didn't have that weird creeper over the top of it.
What year was
Doom
this
buddy.
in?
So this was there till
Before?
'89, but
Long
this
time
is
ago.
currently the
1996.
the building where Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger spin is, and
Which
it's
is like still
essentially
the same track.
track, yeah.
And the same kind of rides. It just the cars look different, but it's
Right.
just pretty much the same everything.
Yeah. So what you went through, just it was aviation history there, and
Can you
lots
shoot
of
the
commercials. You wouldn't shoot anything. You
That's
wouldn't.
what Jared
That's
was.
Jared was-
What did that guy? When he shoot that guy off the
He
plane.
sold Bob Iger on it. He was like,
Yeah.
"Look, I got this great idea. What if we could shoot the people off the planes?" And they're like, "Whoa!"
Let's just shoot him.
Indiana Jones theme. There you go.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, we'll call it headshots. Headshots only headshots count.
I think it would be more of a Michael Eisner thing.
Yeah. Earlier today, Jared just went down to the intersection over there praying for a car accident. Brought his camera like, come on. Oh, another near miss, damn it. I know it's going to happen. It's going to happen any second.
Oh, somebody's turning left. I can't wait.
Oh, here it goes. Here it goes now.
Oh, damn it.
What's this one from?
There's a. All right. This is them flying over Paris. You can see the Eiffel Tower here in the background. The videos from that era and the pictures are so, difficult to determine what you're looking at. But
Also, I feel like half the videos that people took on rides from like the 80s, they're always talking on it.
yeah.
Like now people don't go, they're quiet, they're like, oh yeah, I'm just filming the ride. But like you see all those ones like, Jerry, what are we gonna go on after this, Jerry? Do you wanna go get it? You wanna get a hot dog? Like, what are you filming? They're like, because there was those guys like video cameras were brand new and like, damn it, I'm using this everywhere. I'm filming everything. They had the side strap
That's
that
right.
had
Yeah,
the
that's
VHS
right.
on
You
this
literally
side.
would hold your
They
VCR.
wouldn't even talk. They're like, so where are we
Yeah.
going after? They're like, we're on the ride. Like, we'll go on the ride later. We'll watch it. That's why I'm filming it. I just really knew we're gonna get a hot dog later, Jerry. What are we gonna do? Where's Chuck? Are we meeting Chuck back at the People Move?
You'd have a VCR that was bigger than like the projector over there that you would
I
swing
mean, the
over your
VCR
shoulder.
now, or the VCR part then was larger, way more than the TVs now.
Yeah,
Right.
it would weigh like 50 pounds. You'd wear that on one shoulder. You'd have the camera in the other hand, wires going everywhere,
Yeah.
a battery that would last 12 minutes.
And weighed, it was like a car battery.
Yeah.
Like the size of a car
Yeah.
battery. You're slowly giving yourself scoliosis. They said you pay $2,500 to give yourself scoliosis.
This is why-
and run back and forth.
Have you noticed, like, when you see old people, they're always hunched over like this? That was never the case before VCRs.
Yeah, those people, you see a hunched
old
over
people
old
used
person.
to walk up straight all the time, but then they gave them these cameras.
It's
for
just
some
the
reason.
guys who had video cameras.
Yeah, no, like if you walked around old
Yeah.
people in the 60s,
Yeah.
like the canes weren't even invented until
They didn't
recently
need
because they didn't need them.
They didn't
all
need
stood
them.
up straight still. Yes, you were the
VHS
rest.
thing.
My boyfriend and I just bought a house, and in our
Oh, well, brag.
Nobody likes a show off, okay? Nobody likes.
All right.
we just found a VCR box.
Whoa.
Cool.
Yeah, you're really
It
bragging.
has a VCR in it since before my little sister was born, like since before I was born. It's huge.
Oh yeah, it's like the size of the front row.
Elvis had
Does it
one
work?
of the.
Just plug that baby in. Maybe you'll find that tape with Jerry. Where's Jerry? Are we gonna? What's this ride about? I don't know. You seen Jerry? Are we meeting Chuck for popsicles? What's the Space Mountain? What's the Space Mountain? You think?
Elvis Presley had one of the early VCRs because he was Elvis Presley, and it was like the size of like 4 ATMs, just like lined up, and his videotape collection was like he had like 3 football games, half of Godfather Part 1,
And all of Oh God 2, starring George
right.
Burns.
Let's see, we got a lot of hands here. Let's go over here in the purple.
Oh, I was just gonna say it's kind of funny how
they won't let you bring like a small bag on a ride anymore, but if you had people with like a boombox on.
Oh yeah. Well, that's because they're like, well, clearly this guy's a millionaire if he can afford that thing. It costs one of those cameras costs like $25,000. Like, well, this guy's a bigwig. We let this, and they didn't want to be caught on it. Hey, we're looking for Jerry. No, we got 4. We'll go on ag. See Jerry. You know where the hot dog stand is?
And the employee was like, oh, one day there might be a media sharing site on a thing called the internet and people will see me.
You know what? I just wish there was like a tube for us. Like an us tube. That we could put our stuff up on there and we could talk during ride videos.
Here's the crazy thing. Anytime I watch a ride video from the olden days, I look for myself in it. I'm like, well, I went on that ride too. Maybe
Narcissist.
It's total narcissism. Wait, there's a guy there.
Guy, when are we meeting Guy? You had one in the back. Yes.
I remember that they were also putting the videotapes into those things. You had to carry a bag with like 5 or 6.
Oh yeah, no, it was like a 45-pound.
Videotapes as well, yeah. Well, that's the thing. A videotape then was like the size of 11 iPhones.
Yeah, that's probably right.
Yeah,
And the videotapes, the last videotapes, the first ones weighed like lead.
Yeah,
they made them out of heavier tape. What's that?
Found myself in the background, saw a picture.
Oh shit. That's not even a little bit. That's like you're full on. That's like you're almost in their family.
They were asking me, they go, can someone Photoshop the guy with the wig on? I go, fuck you, I like being in that.
Hey, that's me.
Whoa!
I'm gonna Photoshop you out in the foreground. Be like that.
Somebody wanted you removed. I love the fact that somebody's like, well, we can't call security to remove him anymore. We're already home, so let's...
Maybe let's ask our son to Photoshop him out. He knows how to use computers.
How did you find yourself in it, though? What was the...
Because someone in the group was like, I think I just saw you in the background of someone's picture in a Disney planning group. I go, really? They go, yeah. Do you still have that Mickey hat that's got the rainbow in it?
Do you still walk around Epcot with your genitals exposed? I sure do. Yeah, you're in the picture. You're definitely in the picture.
I joined the group and I said, why would you want to remove that handsome man from the back of your picture?
From the Epcot Flashers Travel Planning Group. Epcot exposed.
And the poster was like, he touched my husband inappropriately as he walked by. And they were like, And you were like, yes.
Yes.
Completely off topic question. Have you
I mean, join the club. We've been talking completely off. We've talked about VHS tapes for the last 25 minutes.
Have you guys already done Alien Encounter before it closed?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
We talked about that yesterday, didn't we?
Yeah.
Was it yesterday?
Yeah, we did talk about it 2 days ago, I think.
2 days ago.
Yes. Yeah, Alien
Did you
Encounter.
go on it?
I wasn't there. I was too young on that.
I mean, it's fine.
It's
no chili dog burps.
It was
or
no
chili, yeah.
But you did have Skippy at the beginning. I liked Skippy. He was like the weird little fuzzy alien.
They
Look
still
kind
used him for Stitch.
They did, yeah, but they kind of renamed him and made him kind of gross. He was like eating. They're like, he's sucking all the jelly out of the jelly donuts. I mean, like literally, when I heard them say that, I was like, you guys, this is what you went with. There was no point where you're like, maybe we come something better than that. The ride has to do with sucking jelly out of jelly donuts.
I'd love to hear your pitch.
That scene. Did you know that scene where the person walks out on top? That was an actual cast member all the time.
Oh wow! I don't.
Wait, what are you talking
that.
about?
The scene with the flashlight and he gets eaten. Oh yeah. That was an actual.
In Alien Encounter?
Yeah. That was an actual cast member.
Come on.
It was. It's been confirmed.
Was it just sound?
No. Why
wouldn't they just have like
shadow of a person walking up there with the flashlight, and the flashlight goes around on the floor searching for something?
That poor slob that had to do that. Okay, I've done the math. It's going to cost us $1,200 to put a light and a shadow in. Or we could just hire some slob and pay them $3.99 an hour to do that. And they'll go crazy, but if we chain them to that railing up there, they will never be able to speak, and they'll never be able to pick up their...
I have a pitch for the ride now.
Okay.
I thought of it. Churro stand.
Churros. So he's not sucking the jelly out of jelly donuts, he's sucking the cinnamon sugar off.
Oh my God, it sounds so sexy. All right.
With the itch and stitch.
The speed tunnel. Yeah, the speed tunnel, just like you do today with the Buzz Lightyear scene.
See, my familiarity with these are the speed tunnel of the people movers at Disneyland.
Oh, yeah.
Where you'd go through and like the big cool thing was they were like, and visit the world of Tron. And then you were on the people mover
Tron,
going
super
about
speed, Tron.
half a mile an hour as they were just showing those like light cycle things.
Yeah, to make you feel like you were going really fast,
Yeah.
but you were not moving.
It was not moving at all.
Yeah. So that tunnel is still used in Buzz Lightyear. Here's an advertisement for Delta, their Dream Flight. So you mentioned the People Mover in California. The People Mover here in Florida is still open. It's the Tomorrowland Transit Authority, and they had dioramas that displayed. You know, like currently when you ride on that, you ride through. You can see inside Space Mountain a little bit. You can see inside Buzz Lightyear a little bit. They have that weird thing where they're like Martian hairstyling.
Oh yeah, right.
I have no idea.
You know, there is a thing. They're putting new stuff in
Yeah, I heard that too.
up there.
I feel like they could do. Yeah, there's the city, the Epcot.
Yeah, they're
a
putting.
very small portion, by the way, of the giant Epcot model that they have. in
Yeah,
the
they're
city.
going to put some new stuff in. Up
They
there.
should. I mean, that you would think that they would change that stuff out like
Here's the
every
thing.
time they had a new movie coming.
They don't have to.
Bring back the rocket rods.
They don't do anything. They don't have to.
Rods. No, don't bring back the rocket rod. The rocket rods replaced the People Mover. They were like in California. They were like, oh, this
But
People
it was
Mover
the
is too
centerpiece.
slow.
The centerpiece of the new Tomorrowland redo.
And
I
then
went
the-
on the rocket rods.
And then the floor started cracking.
No, it wasn't even that. I think it
The
was just.
supports
What?
No.
couldn't handle rocket
No, it
rods
was just
anymore.
no.
Oh.
No, it was just too lame of a ride,
Right.
and the line was too long.
Well,
they had
right.
such a low hourly ride capacity because the Imagineers wanted to make banked curves,
right, but they didn't.
and they wouldn't let them
budget.
do it because of budget. So
Right.
then every time it went to it, it would start and you'd go like, then you'd like hit it the first thing like, then you hit a curve like the turn was coming up, so it would go like this. Because the guy was like, yes, they're going to be zipping, zooming through Tomorrowland, ripping, right turn, left turn, bank curve, boom, boom. Then they make it like being on an escalator.
Lame test track.
It was.
Yeah,
it
that's
was 1,000 times lamer than Test Track because
You know,
you saw
Test
the
Track
thing.
has the bank turns. That was
Yeah.
the big difference.
It was like, because it's exactly like, it's the same exact ride as the Journey to the Center of the Earth at Tokyo Disneyland. Same exact ride system, except those had 2 seats across. But that thing has all the bank things, and it can go like 60 miles an hour, and it's amazing. You're like, wow, they could have had this in Tomorrowland. Instead, now we just have like these pillars and ramps above us with nothing moving around on it. And then they move that stupid spinny thing. Instead of being up on the top out of the way, they put it in the front of the entrance. So now it's just like, feels like Shanghai for about 25 feet when you go into Tomorrowland until you leave it at Disneyland. It's a mess.
See, what I heard is that that they closed it because the supports were
Breaking under the Yeti of the Rocket Rods attraction.
Yeah, the Yeti and Mount Everest, that doesn't work because the supports can't.
The ride was an operational nightmare.
Which one?
The rocket rods. That's why they shut it. It cost them too much money, it was always breaking down, and it had such a low hourly ride capacity. Because all those supports and all that stuff is still there. And the People Mover cars weighed more than those cars did. And they certainly weren't going fast over the important parts. Remember that? It was like slower than the People Movers anytime there was an even remote turn. Bringing us back to Dream Flight.
Yeah, well, you can see at the top of this picture, you can see where the Tomorrowland Transit Authority People Mover track is, as it would glide you over top of Delta Dream Flight. 1989, they opened Delta Dream Flight. 1995, Delta said, hey, we're out. We can't sponsor this anymore. We can't give you your big box of cash. They were sponsoring the Olympics, the 1996 Olympics. And so Delta was like, yeah, we got to throw our money at one waste of time rather than the other. And so Disney closed the attraction for a little while and then renamed it Dream Flight, just, like ripped off all the Delta tags.
Take it down now and remove them. Bring me my Eastern Airlines removal team. Hey, what's up, boss? There's a new enemy in town, in Delta. They are dead to me.
So they pulled everything down. They called it Dream Flight for about 6 months. I see a question at hand here. Glasses.
Yeah, so they pretty much did the same thing to Space Mountain after FedEx, right?
So you're saying they pretty much did the same thing with Space Mountain? They took all the, yeah, they still like to have sponsors for everything, but it used to be a bigger deal. I mean, they love for somebody else to pay for their attractions.
Yeah.
But like I was getting on the Land sponsored by Chiquita Banana. The other, Living with the Land.
Which is, they just had to, every once in a while you'd be on the living. Welcome to Living with the Land. Gucci, Gucci, Gucci. And Charo would come in. They'd have Carmen Miranda in the back.
The last educational ride.
Yeah.
Yeah,
in the greenhouse, nothing but bananas growing.
But it's sponsored by Chiquita, but I feel it's more stealth now than it used to be, and I think it has to do with the amount of money and the amount of advertisement people will put up with. But it used to be they'd be like, welcome to, you'd go see Food Rocks, and welcome to Food Rocks, brought to you by Nestle, and they'd always, give you as much sponsorship as possible. I mean, like if you watch the Country Bears,
What'd you say?
Milk, cheese, eggs.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, like when you watch the Country Bears, they say he's like, "'Cause we've got a lot to give," which was Pepsi's slogan when they sponsored the attraction.